Started. Thank you all very much for joining us. This is a continuation of our Tax Talk Live program. Very excited about this. In my work, a lot of what I have been doing has been engaging with various members across the United States and finding out what's going on, what's important for you, where are you at, what things do you want the organization to be doing, so on and so forth. As a result, we've been pulling out a lot of new programming. So, for example, once a month now, you should be receiving an e-newsletter called The Ledger. And that is a newsletter that is focused on policy and government regulation issues that affect accountants, tax preparers, bookkeepers, and their clients. And so, as a result, we have started to get a lot of people being much more engaged in that, not only in terms of tax talk, but in terms of calling the office and asking for more information about specific bills. We are also reaching out to a lot of the state organizations now and beginning to talk about incorporating the state level activities into this in such a way where if people want to see what's happening in other states, they can quickly glance and get a sense of it and then click for more detail because not everybody is going to want to read what's happening in Tennessee or California or Montana, but they might be interested in the overall arch, especially in some of the larger states where things tend to begin and then matriculate out across the union. So there's a lot of interesting things going on there. We're finishing up our income and fees survey. So if you haven't had a chance to participate, I strongly encourage you to do so. There's a link right on the front page of the website, of the NSA website, nsacct.org. If you do participate, you'll get a full copy of the detailed report and summary, including trends analysis, which is something we started last year and we are continuing this year. So we're beginning to go back through our past results and being able to show where changes have occurred. One thing you might find interesting if you are a regular participant in the income and fees survey is that we are starting to expand some of the responses to make them more practical. This has come as a result of talking with all of you and finding out here, hey, this dollar amount where you do this, the cutoff isn't really viable. What's better would be these three different layers, so on and so forth. And so what you may find is that there's a lot more detail in the results now. That's a lot more valuable to you without actually breaking, conflict of interest and antitrust legislation regarding pricing policies. So, but there's a lot of interesting data, and I think you'll find a lot of stuff in there as well. One thing that I would like to encourage all of you to do today is after we're done here, go to the website and vote. We are electing the new board of directors. We're kicking Jency to the past president position and putting in a new slate of candidates. And we'd like to know whether you approve, disapprove, would like somebody else, so on and so forth. But please take a few minutes. It takes less than 5 minutes, but it'd be wonderful if you can go through and vote and let us know that these are the people that you feel comfortable leading the organization moving forward. Great. So having kind of done some administrative overview stuff, what's really interesting here is that what we're trying to do is take Tax Talk, which is the single greatest area in which we communicate with each other, and make it into a live town hall type webinar program. And we've now been doing this for almost a full year, and I'm very excited about the results that we've been getting. One of the things that happens after each session is Kemi, who is currently on the back of house duty. So he's the one running the chat. He's the one helping people to get logged in if they are missing the code or if they have gotten the wrong link or maybe they just can't get their computer to work properly. He'll be taking the recording of this program and putting together a report. And actually, I'll be talking about that a little bit more as we get into that because we are incorporating a lot of AI into our practices here at the NSA office. And that is one of the things that has led to this session being pulled forward. Again, in my talks with various members across the country, a lot of you are starting to use AI. A lot of your staff are starting to use AI very heavily. And being sure that you understand what it is, what it can do, and what it can bring to your table, that is something that has been asked for by a large number of members just anecdotally as I have gone through my conversations, especially when I bring up the fact that we have used AI to do X, Y, and Z. So, in order to do that, what I have decided to do is put together a short presentation. We'll go through the presentation in order to prime the pump, and then we'll open it up to discussion with all of you. Let you begin sharing. Here's what we do. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm concerned about. Here's what I'd love to see happen. Can it do this? Why doesn't it do that? Just it'll be a wide open sense of questions. As I put this together, while I certainly put together my own notes, I've used AI to actually put all of this together. So this presentation that you see here, the foundation of which was built using AI to create a presentation about AI. And then I went and did some additional research. And the single greatest thing, if you can come away with anything from this, is to not be afraid to use AI, but to make sure you use it with yourself or your people as well. Do not throw things at AI and expect it to come out with a final finished project. It's not going to be exactly what you want. You're always going to want to massage it. You're always going to want to double check it. You're always going to want to change some of the fonts, some of the language, some of the areas of impact. You're going to want to delete things. It's always going to happen. The best way to think about AI as we begin to walk through what it can do for you in your practice is to consider it like a very talented intern who really knows how to use the web to get information, to put things together, to create presentations for you, to lay things out, to write first drafts of things, to create initial plans, so on and so forth. But they're not as experienced as you are in what you do. So always keep in mind that, at least at this point, AI is not providing you with a final product. It is providing you with a wonderful first draft and automating a lot of the things that take so much of our time. It is my hope that when we get to the end of this presentation and begin our discussion, that you'll come away from this session feeling comfortable enough to go into Chat GPT, Claude, or a couple of the other AIs that are out there and begin messing around, typing some things, finding out what's interesting out there, giving it some questions, seeing what the answers are, and putting yourself out there in order to be able to figure out how this is going to work best for you. And I'll be laying out a suggested course of action over the next few weeks over the summer to help you get there without taking up too much of your time each week. So without any further ado, I'm going to move into AI and where we are and how it can affect our members and what we're encouraging and what we're hearing from all of you in the field. Then we'll open it up to questions. Now, because I'm running the presentation, I can't see all of your beautiful faces. So if you do have a question, either drop it in the chat and Kemi will bring it up at the end and ask it, and then either I or one of the other members of the Zoom today will give you an answer. Or if nobody has an answer, we'll mark it down. We'll go research an answer for you, and we'll put it out in the follow-up report that comes out. So please do that. Or also feel free to use the raise hand function in Zoom, and then I can call on you and you can call out your question as well. That's totally fine as well. And I will be calling on some of you when we get to the Q&A portion, so you can hide all you want. But Hyman, I'm pretty confident I'll be calling and asking you what you're using it for because I'm pretty sure you're using it already.
You're not going to like my answer.
That's good. That's perfect. I love it when your answer is the opposite of what I've just presented. That gives us something to talk about.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. So the first thing I want to talk about is why AI and why now? And my answer really comes down to, and I'm not going to read for you these slides because you are all capable of reading. I'm confident. What I'm going to try and do is give you the things that aren't said in the slides. Everybody here remembers a time before email. We all do. We don't understand how we were able to do any of the work that we're doing without email, but we do remember a time when it actually didn't exist and it was all paper documents. AI is going to be the new email. It's not there yet. It's like email in its infancy. Just beginning to use it. We're sending things back and forth. We're using AI to do research. We're using AI to create first drafts of things, to automate programs. But the things that we're going to find AI being involved in is bigger and bigger and bigger every single day. It is more integrated every single day. And it's going to take a variety of different forms. You are using AI now. When you send a text and it automatically completes the text for you, or when you do a search on Google and it completes the search question for you, or when it does an underline and gives you a different word in something that you're typing up because you've misspelled it, that's a version of AI. When you hit reverse in your car, and you see the lines that show where you're parking, where you're about to drive into a pole, and you get a little beep, 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 beep warning sign that you're getting too close to an object, that's a use of artificial intelligence. There are a variety of different types of artificial intelligence, machine learning, large language models, neural nets. We're not going to get into the details on any of those because it doesn't matter. What matters to you right here, right now, is what can I actually do with it and why do I care? And the answer to you why you care now is that if you start applying this in your practice, you're going to find you have more free time, and maybe even during tax season, you'll be able to see your family and have a meal at a reasonable time. Maybe. Maybe not, but maybe. Because this will be able to do a lot of the things that suck up your time right now. The other thing that this is going to do is it's going to be a threat if you don't turn it into a tool. You've all seen Intuit's ads for they have their own set of accountants right now. Some of you may even be part of that piece that they're doing. But a lot of the AI tools that Intuit is investing heavily in will be to help replace us as practitioners for people who don't want to have to bring everything to someone and have a conversation once a week. They will start using various Intuit tools and all TaxDome, Carbon, every major tax software provider is building AI into their tools. The good news is, if we learn how to use that, we become more valuable instead of more replaceable. And so that's why we want to have this conversation now. Again, we're going to hit on what AI is and what it isn't. We're going to skip a lot of the detailed, oh, this is what a large language model is and why you need this and that. And yeah, you'll find plenty of that stuff out there. I'm going to point you in the direction on YouTube of a variety of different folks who do some excellent AI training sessions and what have you. That'll all come in the follow-up report. 15 minutes once a week with a different provider will give you insights on what things are and what they aren't and why you would use them. Also, a lot of them are not going to be useful to you. You don't need to have the type of AI that does the backward image checking to determine that your car is too close to an item. What you need is something that can summarize the IRS's the impact on accounting, taxation, and bookkeeping for the new big beautiful bill that just passed. So that's what you can use it for. That's the value add it has for you. It can tell you and track for you, here's what's going on in the state house of North Carolina in terms of new policies and regulations that are coming out that we need to know in terms of how we're going to do accounting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of this, I'm going to flip over and show you, because I've already started doing some analysis of the Big Beautiful Bill using ChatGPT, just so that I can show you here's what you could be doing yourself right now quickly and easily. All right. AI really are a set of tools. At this time, what they really are is you give them a question or a project or an idea, you feed them what you need to be discerned, and then it gives you a result in the back. Now, what's important for all of you is that you can use tools, and again, I'm going to provide you a list in the report that comes out, so you don't have to write these all down, but there are literally dozens of online AI products that you can use. ChatGPT is one of the most common. Claude is one that's very, very popular right now. Google has one called Bard. I'm sure Microsoft has been inundating you to use its Copilot and let it do all the thinking for you. There are dozens of them out there. And what's also interesting is that each of those also has sub AIs. So if you go to, let me flip over really quickly. So if we go over here, and now I've switched, and let me just make sure my screen sharing, I'm sharing the right screen here. Pop up. Okay, so you should now be seeing the screen. Jency, do you see my Chat GPT screen? You do not. Are you still seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, hang on one moment. It's because I switched. Okay. This is a personal intelligence problem, not an artificial
We
intelligence.
got it.
Okay. So what I'm looking at now is just ChatGPT's normal screen. And what I want to kind of show you over here is on the, if you log into ChatGPT, and you'll see this, it's in different places in the other ones, but they all have it, is that there are other things. In this case, they're called GPTs. They might be called something else in different areas. But you can see that what we've actually got are a series of GPTs that are focused on specific products and processes. In this case, I've looked for one that did accounting and tax. And I only pulled up one. There are 15 or 20 of them that are sub GPTs that are just focused on giving you information on accounting and tax. NSA is building one right now to do exactly the same thing. So, two questions. A, why is this different? And B, why is NSA doing one when there are already a bunch out there? The reason why this is different is it allows you faster responses, and it allows you responses that are more focused on the information that you personally need. So as you go through, if you click on this GPTs button, or again, in some of the others, they'll have other buttons, you'll type in the type of GPT you want. You might want one for small businesses. You might want one for investing performance. You might want one for tax. You might want one for accounting policy, payroll law changes, government relations. There are whatever you can think of, there's going to be GPTs out there for it. Here is the single most important piece of information on this topic. Make sure to understand who is building the sub GPT, because they're building it for a reason. And if it's another firm, you want to be thoughtful that whatever you're putting into that GPT is now going to that other firm, and they are getting all of that information, which is the answer to question number two. Why is the NSA building one? We are building one so that our members are able to provide sensitive information, not confidential, not legally restricted, but more sensitive information without it being tracked back to them, and without them having the chance of losing or overextending the information that they put in. Because whenever you ask a question, if you ask a question about offshore tax havens and somebody knows it's you, if Kelly is asking me, hey, how about these offshore tax havens? I know he's interested in that. I can begin to look at and figure out why he's interested in that. So I don't want to be using another firm that's potentially competitive, Or I don't want to be using an international firm that has coded this random thing that is beginning to capture and track my data. Your data is super sensitive. You don't want to have it being tracked by, overseas agents. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but even the most benign organizations are still going to be tracking your information. And so having a trusted source where you know that that information can be separate, that's critical. So coming back to chat, I think I mentioned one of the core things AI is and AI is not. I have asked, first I asked chat to find me references to the Big Beautiful Bill. That was a mistake because just like a good intern, it gave me 16 pages of references all across the the interweb, and links to all of them to where places where I don't want to read all that. So instead, what I had it do was I had it pull the actual text of the bill, and then I fed it the actual text of the bill, asked it to read that text by asking it to read that context, and then to summarize for me and provide me with the implications for accounting practices, tax preparation, and accounting policy and regulation changes. And it began to pull things up. And so this is a very short piece. Now, if I were using this, if I were building a report for all of you, which surprise, surprise, I am, I would then go into each of these. So you'll see that here I've got one of the first things that comes up in the big beautiful bill here is the immediate expensing and depreciation of, and here are three pieces that came out, and here's the impact on practitioners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get more detail on that, the implications thereof, what we should be planning for, how we can prepare for this, when it will take effect, so on and so forth. Because again, these are all questions that are not answered here. All I've asked it to do is to summarize for me the implications. So there's a lot of follow-up questions, just like I would have with a meeting with a new intern. Now, I also want to show you here that I have the various sources. This is critical. When you are using any of the AIs, you always want to have them cite sources. It is not as common now, but it is absolutely true that the AIs present and prepare things for you because they want you to be happy and they don't care so much about the truth or reality because they are happy to do what is commonly called hallucinate in AI parlance, which to the rest of us is called lying. It will make stuff up for you and it will show you stuff. And lawyers have been caught providing briefs using AI that cite cases that don't exist. There are a variety of different law scandals from politicians using AI to prepare things that don't exist. There's a lot of academic. For those of you who may not know, I just finished my doctorate degree. There's a huge issue in the academic community in terms of plagiarizing and using AI to prepare stuff for you and generating content that is just based on nothing. So always make sure you look at these links. Now, here's the thing that people don't say when they say look at the link. Actually look at the link because just because there's a link there doesn't mean it goes anywhere and doesn't mean it goes somewhere valid. Because keep in mind how much, I believe Kelly used the term earlier, BS is, that's the technical term, is available on the internet in written form, sometimes with visuals and graphs and data that's just not real. Chat and the other AIs do not know how to differentiate between real and not real and fictional and lies. And so just keep in mind that as you begin to use this, always look at where it's citing its sources from and is that a reliable source? Ideally, you want it sourcing from government agencies that you feel you can trust, local producers, information resources, publishers, groups of that, whether it's Wolters Kluwer or others, you want them to be citing those types of sources. So this is all really important because you don't want to be providing yourself or, heaven forbid, your clients with anything that is not real, because that will, of course, come and blow back on you. So we'll skip all that, but I wanted to give you a sense on here is a quick and easy way to use chat and other AI programs on a regular basis just to take an IRS filing and condense it down, feed it in, condense it down, what's important, and then ask it questions and ask it to continue to reference the filing. And it will do that for you. And you can say, can I do this? Can I do that? What is the interpretation of this? What is the interpretation of that? And it will do the research for you. And you can have, at the end of 15 minutes, a very strong understanding of what actually came from it and how other organizations and other resources around the world have referenced that so that you can actually utilize it more effectively. I hope that that makes sense. And I'm going to switch back to the main presentation at this point, which I need to do here. Come on now. Okay. Um, so it says it here, and I said it in the screen before as we started this, it isn't a replacement for you. Don't let it be. Don't let your clients come in and tell you, well, I can just do this on AI. Sure, you can. You absolutely can. You can also, rebuild your back deck. Is it going to be to code? Do you need a permit? Is it going to be, something you're going to be comfortable having your grandchildren play on? You go crazy. AI is not a replacement for you. You are not a commodity. You are a powerful tool that consults with your clients, even if all you ever do is one form for them, and make sure that they are doing things and pointing out things to them that are useful over time. So AI in a smaller firm. All right. And I know that many of you are not small firms, but the things that it can do for small firms are great for yourself and for the people who are under you. And if you are a small firm, then we've hit the mark. But what's really critical, again, is going to be time management. This is going to reduce the amount of time and allow you to spend your time doing things that are more important. For example, when you can have AI look over and you certainly don't want it to do, look over a tax return or look over sensitive information. But let's say you've noticed a trend in one of your clients that they are depreciating X over a period of time. Is there any way for them to depreciate? They want to do it faster. You don't have to go do a huge amount of research. Now you can type it into whatever your particular favorite AI is, and it can at least guide you to the relevant documents that say, yes, they could, no, they can't, they can if they do it this way, they cannot if they've already done it that way. We all know that there are ways to do different things. AI can help you to navigate a lot of those hurdles over time so that you don't have to think it through. It also does a lot of process helping. One of the things that I know a lot of our members are trying to do is many of you would like to retire within the next 5 to 10 years. You'd like to be able to sell your practice and walk away rich and sit on the beach or in the mountains or play with your friends, family, what have you. You want to be able to relax and you want to be able to transfer the practice that you've spent so much of your life building into someone else's hands and have it remain a high quality practice because it probably still has your name on it. And even if it doesn't have your name on it, you certainly have been associated with it for a long time. So, how do you do things like that? Well, number one, you want to figure out what the valuation is, right? And you know that you could walk through it in your head, but instead you can use AI to say, what's a simple way for me to do business valuation? Oh, here are the 12 steps. Oh, here are some online tools that are available either for free or for a low price that I can put information into securely and it can give me a number. Oh, I don't like that number. How can I improve that number? And chat, and I'm going to keep referencing chat just because I happen to be using it today. Again, Claude, uh, uh, Copilot, Bard, any of the others can do just the same for you. You'll find that some of them are better at some things than others, or that resonate with you and respond to you in the way that you like better. Um, so the moral of the story, though, is that you can begin typing those things in there, and it can help you do things like figure out what your valuation is. More importantly, one of the first things that it's going to tell you that you should do is create a process for everything that you do in your office and put it together in some sort of folder or binder or what have you, because then you can hand over here's how we do things here at Caulfield and someone accounting firm. And that is a huge value add that you if you can hand that off to somebody. Not only can chat turn around and help you to build those processes out, it can make suggestions to make your processes better, cheaper, faster, better, easier. And you can ask it, can you see any way I can make this better, faster, easier, cheaper, etc., etc. And it will give you suggestions. You'll say yes to some, you'll say no to others, and you'll move on. You'll save those in your system, and then you'll hand all of it to chat and say, hey, can you make videos of all of these? And it can because nobody reads anymore, especially if you're again handing it off to somebody new. So there's a lot of opportunity for that there. One of the things that AI can do for you as well that we are going to talk about in a little more detail later on is the inputting of data and the confirming of data. Because a lot of what we do is taking forms either digitally or in paper or on stone tablets or however you get them from your client and putting them into your system. And you can get AI to do all of that for you by scanning things in and putting it in. Now, many of your larger software packages will have that available as an option. But if it does not, or if you want it to go straight from your online portal into your system, you can easily get a custom software developer to be able to create that using AI for you so that it creates and inputs all the information and then double checks it with you so that you know what went in and you can correct anything that the client made an error on, the translation made an error, it got put into the wrong place, because sometimes things do happen. But all of that can again save you a heck of a lot of time, either your time or the time of the person that you hire as temporary staff to do all the data entry in tax season. Because I know in January and February, many of you are adding on 2 or 3 people just for the 2 months in order to do all the data entry. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Again, practical uses. We've talked a lot about automation, client communication. A lot of you have now I am confident that everyone on this channel, they may not realize they have, has had an online interaction with an AI. Typically, those are chatbots. That's that little window that pops up and says, oh, hi, I've seen you've come to our website. Can I help you with something? And you type in the thing that you want, and it gives you a response or it shows you stuff. And there are many layers to this. It may have a personality and a name. It may just point you to an answer on their website. It may give you an actual solution. It may be able to actually make the change that you're looking for. There are many, many layers to how it can accomplish this. But one of the easiest ways for you is to have a chat bot created that can answer common questions. When are my due dates for my paperwork? What's the telephone number for the office? When are you available to be contacted? Can I set up an in-person meeting? The answer to that is clearly always no. How do we do X, Y, and Z? I've been using you for 20 years. Is my price going to go up? And you're not going to have an answer every question, but the most common ones you can have built in there, and you can have a lot of other content available on your website so that it can do the triage for those little 5-minute calls that when you get 10 of them, suck up an hour of your day. And so suddenly you've gotten an hour back because people aren't going to the website looking for information anymore. We're too lazy for that. What we're doing is we're saying, "Hey Siri, is Kelly's office open?" And Google already has in their thing Kelly's hours of operation, so it'll tell us. But now if we go online and we say, "Hey Kelly, hey, I'd like to set up a meeting with Kelly and da da da." Okay, here's Kelly's automated system for setting up client calls, and please choose an area within it. And it can do all that, and it can schedule the calls for you, and you can set up timelines that you are available for. Or you can have it say, "Oh, what would you like to talk about it? Maybe I can answer the question for you." And if it's a simple question, it may be able to. Especially if it's simple things, because you can also feed it the IRS tax code, which of course we haven't read through all the way, but chat will. And so it can make some common answers for you and say, please follow up with your account rep, if whether it's Jency or Kelly or Josh or Jim or Hyman or whoever, and moving on. Again, documenting, drafting, reviews. Whenever you send out an engagement letter, you can have an AI take a look at it. I'm going to hit something important there. You can log in and have one of the common AIs made available for you personally. It costs more, and it depends on which AI you're using, but you can make it secure so that none of the information that you put into AI goes anywhere else. So that's something that if you would like to have it look over your shoulder and review tasks that you have done, engagement letters, anything that might have sensitive information, you can set it up so that those things can happen now. Whereas you weren't able to do that even 6, 8 months ago with any confidence. Now you can. And that'll only get better as we go forward. I already spoke about internal systems and standard operating procedures, so I'm going to skip on ahead of that. Scheduling meetings. Now, I don't want to talk about the scheduling meetings. You've all have seen, Firefly. There's a variety of different. Again, I will give you the links to all the tools, so don't feel like you need to write down all these names. Also, I'm just going to apologize in advance for the names chosen to give to these these AI devices. I didn't come up with any of them, so it's not my fault. But some of them make me wonder, did you really think you were going to be a business AI opportunity with the name Fireflies? And so there you go. But anyway, scheduling meetings is a huge deal, and being able to go over them. One of the most important things is, how often are you on a client call and you wish, so maybe you're recording it just like we're recording today. So we're recording this Zoom, you record your Zooms, but then you get a transcript at the end and you pull that down, you drop it into the client configuration box, and you forget about it until they're like, "Well, I never said that." And then you go back through and you look through the transcripts and find where they did in fact say exactly what you said they said. Imagine if at the end of every one of your Zoom calls with your client, you got a summary of the call, just one page. Here's what we talked about. Here's what the client agreed to. Here's what I agreed to. Here are the key takeaways. Here are the key action items. Boom. Bob's your uncle. You send out an email to the client so the client has a copy, you have a copy, and you haven't touched a key. These are things that AI can do for you, and it makes summarizing things, especially key meetings, and keeping those records available much, much easier because now you have the actual transcript and you have a summary of what it is. You can begin to tag and sort client documents from year to year to year because a lot of clients, of course, once you've started using them for 10 or 12 or 15 years, they want you to be able to tell you, well, what am I doing now that's better than what I was doing 10 years ago? How am I making more money? How do I need to change my tax setup? Where do I need to hide things? Where do I need to move things? What do I need to do and pay? And being able to do trend analysis the way we're doing with the income and fees program with your own clients and being able to show them, hey, by the way, here's how you've been going. Here's your cash flow. How many of your clients would love a cash flow analysis and how often do you want to do it? You don't want to do it ever and they want it all the time. But imagine if you could just push a button and you could get a cash flow analysis not only of the last 12 months, but of the last 12 years and be able to provide it to them and show them here's some year over year comparisons. These are things that AI can do for you very easily. Again, it's sensitive information, so you're going to want to make sure you're doing it in a secure way. But that's something that's easy to turn around and figure out. When you're working with clients, I guarantee every one of you has a series of emails or letters that you take when they make a question, they give you a question or comment or concern, and they say to you something that you have heard 16 times. You just copy and paste it, you put their name at the top, you put your name at the bottom, and you send it off to them. AI can do all that for you and yet customize it so that they actually feel like you're sending them a personal email. I will neither confirm nor deny whether or not I have sent Jency an email that was completely written by AI, and whether or not she knew it. So, but you can do this. This is, something that makes, again, prevents you from having to spend 20 minutes writing something up. If you take your template, you drop it into AI and you say, here are some of the details that are important to this client. 3 minutes later, you've gone back and forth. You've got a professionally edited and written piece that you can send out in whatever format you want, and you can feel comfortable that it reads, looks, and feels good. Document reviews and drafting. This is the single greatest win, whether it's drafting up new client engagements, whether it's drafting up old client engagements, whether it's analyzing the data and reports that you're getting, so on and so forth. That is something that AI is fantastic at and can really be helpful for you. We do not send out anything from NSA that we have not used AI to draft the first copy of, just because it's so much easier to sit down and say, we are the National Society of Accountants. Our members are so and so. This thing, here's what we need to tell our members. Please put it in the format that's exciting, energetic, professional. Please make sure we include links. Please make sure we, talk about whatever. And then we'll go back over it a couple of times and we'll review. But all of you know, the hardest thing to write is the first draft of any copy. Do you want more clients? Draft up a have AI draft up a marketing plan for you. Tell it what your constraint. I don't want to spend any money. I don't want to do any actual work. But what I would like is to double my number of clients. And and then have it give you an answer. And then you'll play with it and you'll say, oh well, maybe I will spend $500, or maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'm willing to do X. Have it do these first drafts for you. Have it write the marketing copy. Have it write the context. How many of you have not updated your website or your Facebook page that you use as your website in over a year? Imagine if you could take 1 hour once a month and have it rework your website in such a way that it feels fresh, it feels new. Oh, and by the way, all the search engine optimization bots that are out there scouring go through your website all over again because now it's new and has new content, and you start coming up in more searches online. These are the things that you can use for AI to develop for you. We talked about internal standard operating procedures. I'm not going to go into that, but training documents. Because we have all the ACAT credentials, are actually using AI to develop new materials for training for people to be able to prepare for the various ACAT credentialing programs that we have. Now, I want to point out to you, we aren't getting rid of the human element of this. We're using AI to do the first draft, and then we're having real people with real expertise go over the actual pieces of content and training pieces and make sure that they're accurate. Because if you don't, you have what happened in the California Bar Association, where they developed a whole system for the new bar and it's completely useless. And they've had to refund everyone's money. It's a huge issue. Just if you want more information, Google California Bar Association AI bar exam, and you'll read all about it. So again, don't use AI by itself. Use it with your own expertise. All right, so I'm going to hit some of the tools real quick. We talked about ChatGPT, Zapier, Fireflies, Otter, Grammarly Go. You're all probably using Grammarly already. Updating to Grammarly Go is useful. Each of these is going to have a specific area of expertise, but they're also going to be expandable. Chat is very nice. Not only can chat do for you actual written text, but it can create presentations like this one. It can create PDFs for you. It can create charts. It can create pictures. You can say, hey, I'd like a picture of myself with my grandkids, at Disney World, which we've never been to. Boom, it can create a picture for you like that. Whether it actually looks like you and your grandkids, I have no way of sharing that, but it will go ahead and do these things. You'll be surprised too to figure out what's happening. How many times do you get a new client in and you wonder, do I really want to, is this person really on the level? Are they legit? Is this what I want to get into? You can do research on them using chat. And chat or any of the others will go through the internet and find out everything that's public record on whoever you've got and give you a lot of information. Now, again, you need to just double check and make sure it's accurate because chat will hallucinate. But if you ask it for links and you ask it for sources, you can easily go and verify whatever it has put forward. Again, I'm not going to go through this. You can read it all on your own. But a lot of the routine tasks that you would put out to an assistant, you can ask chat to do. And once you get into the habit of using chat, you can then create automation tools to be able to do it without you even telling it. You can just be finished with a document, you can hit an export function, and chat will review it, write it up professionally, give you an example, and then at your another click of your button, it'll send it out automatically. It'll do reminders. How many times do we need to ask people to send us their tax documents? You know, and and you can have chat set it up so that it's asking once a week in January, twice a week in February, and once a day in March. Because you want to be a pest to your clients, but you don't want to actually do the calls yourself. And you can do it this way. And with some of the tools, you can actually get voice prompts. So it will make an actual call if you have a client that does not use email or texting. How to get started. We're again going to I'm going to put this into the report that comes out. And I want to stop here because I'm at 10 minutes left and I want to be able to have some conversation. But I'll also be sending you a set of links to YouTube examples. I'll set a series of small tasks on how to get comfortable with. I'll be using chat as the example reference point, and then I'll show you how to get involved in some of the others. But we'll put together a little thing where if you spend 30 minutes once a week for 8 weeks, I promise you'll come out the other side of that feeling very comfortable that you understand what this can bring to your table. Okay, so I'm complete with the overview. Hyman started us out with a bit of a challenge that I was not going to like what he had to say about his experience with AI. That is fantastic because that gives us something to talk about. Hyman, I open the floor to you and I ask you to please share what your experience was and what you think.
Well, I mean, basically, I have a couple of issues with it. I mean, I get it. I understand everything that you're saying. Yes, and the world is moving in that direction. Nothing I'm saying is going to change that, obviously. All right. I mean, my biggest issue is I think we're just moving too fast. All right, with this kind of stuff. All right. I think that we don't have the technology that we think we have, right? And we're relying on it to do too much for us at this point. I think back to to the very basic stuff. Ask ask an 18-year-old kid, how to balance their checkbook. How to do going to the bank. Doing the stuff that we're all used to, and they have no clue how to do any of this stuff. They have no clue what goes on in the real world because of AI, really, because of technology. Right. The second issue I have with it actually is actually on the other side of the coin, right? Which is, and we're all experiencing it. We're seeing all these letters spitting out, mostly from the Internal Revenue Service, but from probably from state agencies as well. And with the reduction in force with the IRS, they're pushing AI even heavier than we are. Honestly, they're all saying, they're going to let 30% of the agents go, 25% are already gone. They're going to let 30% go. Supreme Court just ruled that Trump can let some more federal employees go. So in a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with coming from the IRS is also being generated by AI. And I have a personal dislike for having to argue with a computer because you're never going to be able to get to a person. We're taking people out of the loop, and I got a real problem with that.
Good. So, Hyman, I've pulled out four different topics in what you said, and I'm gonna put them out there. First, we're moving too fast, and I think you just mean society in general is moving too fast to adopt and take on this AI stuff and integrate it into our lives, rather than thinking it through and being thoughtful about how it's going to be implemented. Is that a fair summary of that point?
Yeah, I mean, more or less. I mean, I tend to joke around a lot about stuff that I probably shouldn't joke about, but I joke about it this way. I say, for those of you who are Star Trek fans, 25th century, Sulu is still driving the Enterprise, you know, 300, 400 years from now. All
Yep.
right. So they don't even have the technology then, and we think we have it now.
Good. The second item I pulled out from what you said is that chat can't always do what it people think it can do. And I think that's a huge one, and I'd like to support that. There is a lot of hype about AI, and the
I'm
AI can
finding
do
it. Yeah. I
AI.
find chat to be wrong more than it's right, honestly.
Good. And that's so that is a great counter example. And thank you, Hyman, for saying that. One of the things though, the piece I want to pull away though from your piece, and I'm going to open it up so we can talk about these, but I just want to say, I think that there are a lot of people who either for personal, moral, or financial reasons are incentivized to hype up chat not sorry, not chat, hype up AI in general, and to say
Mhm.
that it can do wonderful things, either because they want it to, they believe it can, and it will get there quickly, or they again have a financial stake in that. So I think that's a key one to keep in mind because it's absolutely true that there are hype people out there talking up AI beyond what it's currently able to do. I loved your comment about the 18-year-old relying on tools and not being able to balance their checkbook. I think that that's been going on since before 2000.
Mhm.
I'm going to use take the checkbook example off the table, but absolutely there's a lot of people who are growing up reliant on tools. For example, myself, I use a calculator. I don't do math in my head. And a lot of people learned how to do that, or learned how to use a slide rule, or learned how to use, algorithms in their head,
Slide
uh,
rule, boy, you're dating yourself now.
right? So absolutely being able to, I mean, let's be honest, you can tell that someone's over 40 because they bring a paper ticket to the airport. And people who are under do not. And that's just a way of things. And that's not saying that there aren't, people of our age and older who are not using their phones to get on the plane. It's just saying that that's where the thought process is. So there's certainly some things there. And then the IRS issue. I don't want to get too heavily into the terminations and what have you, because that
Right. Yeah, it's
a
really
political
not pertinent.
discussion. But as relates to AI, you're absolutely right. Our NPL meetings, National Public Liaison meetings that we have with the IRS, they've been talking about integrating more and more technology for a long time. I think there's a lot of positivity behind what's there, but I absolutely get your concern about arguing with a computer, because you can't win that argument, even if you
Mhm.
win the argument. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I think about all the time, and really on a daily basis, is yeah, a lot of this technology is great. It really is when it works, right? When it's not working, right? And I think we've all experienced this, all right? Our practices grind to a screeching halt when the internet is down. You have no internet service, all right? Now we've got, of course, the multi-factor authentication, mandatory across the board. And some things, some places you need even more than multi, right? Yeah, that's great. It's a wonderful thing. It's a good, secure thing. People can't hack into my account, but I can't get into my account either because my phone died.
right. I'm gonna switch over to Kathy. Kathy was kind enough to put in the chat. She just sent out a client letter, went out on the tax bill. Thanks to Parker Tax Publishing. No AI needed. Congratulations. But I did use AI to do a fine job of building out a financial literacy course for me. Kathy, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. It was a multi-pass thing. So I use Spark, which is, they call it an encompassed AI. I still don't give it any personal information. I redact. So I did a multi-pass thing where I gave it the parameters of what I wanted to do and what theoretical structures I wanted to follow, and said, build me out a 6 module online course for subscription. And then from there, I said, give me participant worksheets and tools, and it gave me suggestions, and then it gave me suggestion for PowerPoint slides. And then I said, give me a script for the talking points, and it did. So now all I have to do is create videos.
Nice.
And I won't use AI to do that. I don't like those.
Good. Now, will you do those yourself?
Yes.
So this is a great example of what I have been encouraging, is use AI to do the initial setup, which is more time consuming and less thought work. And then use your expertise to actually put the fine point to it, and use your face and personality to make it something that's more, because I get where you're coming from, Kathy. Sometimes watching an AI video can be dismissive. I get bored quickly.
Yeah, and when hand movements don't match and the lips don't match, that drives me crazy. But even to go deeper, I'm certified in ClearPath to Cash. So I put a couple of pretty lengthy PDF books up there and said, read these and incorporate the methods.
Brilliant.
Did a
Brilliant.
great job.
Brilliant. I want to point out we are at 3 o'clock. I'm going to stay on for a little while longer for those of you who might want to continue the conversation. But I did want to just make sure that it was 3 o'clock and let you all know in case you just have decided to leave. Connie asked if there were handouts for the presentation. There weren't in advance, but there will be a full report with all the slides in it that will be coming out, and we'll send that out to everyone directly following. And then I have another message down here. Oh, it was Kelly telling us he's leaving. Are there any other thoughts that people have had over the course of AI? Great. Well, hearing none, I hope this was useful to you and gave you something to think about. Again, we'll be sending out a detailed report, which has a summary of the entire presentation, links to different tools that are out there, a variety of different ideas and thoughts for you. We'll try to keep it nice and clean and succinct so that it's easy for you to read. And we will use AI to help clean it up and make sure it looks good. And then we'll use our own expertise to make sure it sounds like what we wanted it to do. Thank you all very much for coming. We've been delighted to run Tax Talk Live now for almost a year, and I really feel like this is turning out to be quite a successful little interaction. So thank you all again, because it's you all that make this possible and make this a valuable conversation.